Hi, my name's John Petty, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Growing Up in Flip Flops. Today's episode I've entitled Mickey. All through the school, everybody had been talking about it in the coming days. Notes that were being passed and being caught by teachers were not the usual elementary school note passing of, "Did you know Mary likes you?" or something along that line. Instead, it was, "Are you going to be out on the playground during recess and watch Mickey wrap the swing?" Now, if you don't know what wrapping a swing is, let me explain. It's sitting in a swing set, a normal swing set, and attempting to literally make a 360-degree circuit around the top crossbar from which the swing is suspended. This seemingly impossible task was going to take place on our school grounds by a sixth grader by the name of Mickey. I don't know Mickey's last name, but I certainly remember that name because I watched it happen. That day at recess, everybody gathered around the swing set. Swing set was made out of steel pipe. Probably the crossbar was 10 feet off the ground. The swings were suspended by chain link with a flexible rubber seat. Almost the entire school was huddled around that swing set watching. There were obviously some kids that had been playing hopscotch or something and ignored what was happening over at the swing set. You might wonder, where were the teachers? Well, the teachers, like virtually every day, were huddled in a group around or under shade and standing there with their arms crossed. And back in the day, you may not believe it, but teachers could smoke. So half of them were sitting there with cigarettes hanging out of their mouth, arms folded, ignoring the kids on the playground, and talking about God knows what. Maybe, did you know Miss Jones, the new English teacher, was seen out at a restaurant with the fifth grade science teacher, Mr. Smith. And, well, what do you think about that? God knows what they were talking about, but they were ignoring this mass of kids that were huddled around the swing set. And Mickey came striding in, sort of like a boxer entering the ring for a championship bout, walking in, and everybody just parted as he came through the crowd to come to the swing set. There were a couple other fifth or sixth grade boys that accompanied Mickey, and as he got in the swing set, they started helping him, giving pushes on the swing to get his momentum going. And this went on, and Mickey kicking his legs and extending his body and getting it higher and higher. And the two boys would stand to the side, and when Mickey came down and hit the low point of his arc, would give him another push. And he kept getting higher and higher. Again, teachers completely ignoring everything. And then you had to think what was going to happen when Mickey got up near the top. Would his momentum slow and then he would fall straight back down? Or what would happen if he literally made it over the crossbar? Would his momentum be so slow that he fell straight down and fell smack into the crossbar and causing a fair amount of damage, 10-foot fall from the top of his arc, hitting the crossbar, and then another 10 feet down to the ground. But people weren't thinking about that at that moment. They were just watching him go higher and higher and get closer and closer up to that bar. And there would be an O when he got up high but just didn't have enough momentum to make that final pitch, to make it past the bar. And he tried and tried and kept getting ever so close. And then he just put all of his strength into it and made it over the crossbar. There was a moment where his momentum stopped and he went into a little bit of a free fall, thankfully past the crossbar. And then the swing came down, and then at that point, obviously the chain link was loose, and he was in a little bit of a free fall. And then at some point, the chain tightened, and he began his descent in the arc and came down with a little bit of a jolt, but it then the momentum carried him probably up to like the 9 or 10 o'clock position on his arc, but he slowed down. The cheer went up from the assembled group of kids at recess. I still don't think a teacher ever came forward to see what had happened, but Mickey had done it. I actually saw someone wrap a swing set, go all the way around under their own power. I have seen TV shows like Mythbusters talk about, is it possible to do this? And they've done it with like rocket-assisted mechanisms. Mickey did it on his own with 2 other boys helping push, but it was primarily Mickey doing it. Now you may ask, how can I possibly remember this kid's name from 3rd grade? I remember my 1st grade teacher's name. I can't even tell you other kids in my class, maybe 1 or 2 that I remember and talk to this day, but I can't remember any of my other teachers from elementary school. Heck, I can only remember a couple teachers from middle school and a few from high school. But I saw one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Now, I've walked out in the eye of a Cat 5 hurricane. I've sat down and talked alone on a sofa for 45 minutes with Vincent Price, and I saw my mother point a loaded double-barrel shotgun at a neighbor. But I'll tell you, watching Mickey wrap a swing set tops every one of those for me. It is one of the most outstanding things I've ever witnessed in my life, and it came early in my life. Now, another interesting point of this story is the whole point of memory. How on earth do I remember this incident and this boy's name, Mickey? I have no idea what his last name is. I have no idea if he's alive or dead. I have no other information about him. If he walked up to me today and said, "Hi, I'm Mickey," I wouldn't know him from Adam. But I remember that. I remember that day. I would say, if you look at the stories I've told you, every one of them is a really unexpected and fascinating point that is outside the usual humdrum of our daily lives. Cherish those moments. They may have been something that you did. They may have been something that you witnessed. They may have been something that someone else did, like what Mickey did. But I'll tell you, when you see them, you don't forget them. Thank you again. I hope you enjoyed the episode.